It wasn't limping, it wasn't bleeding, and the hunter still knew it was dying. Most people think weakness is obvious, that if something's wrong, it'll show. A limp, a wince, a crack in the voice. We've been trained to wait for the visible sign. But nature runs on the opposite rule. An injured animal doesn't advertise it. It fights harder than a healthy one to look completely normal, because looking weak in front of predators is a death sentence on its own. So if the animal is working that hard to hide it, how did anything ever catch the truth? The answer isn't in what the animal showed. It's in what it couldn't quite control. You already know this feeling. Someone at work, someone you're dating, someone on your team. They look completely fine right up until they don't. And you never saw it coming because you were watching for the obvious sign instead of the quiet one. This isn't speculation. Biologists studying injured animals have found they can move, graze, and behave almost normally. The body releases its own natural painkillers just to maintain the disguise. And yet, trackers still read through it, every time, from cues most people would never think to look for. Tonight, the wolf shows you exactly what those cues were, and the one you've been ignoring in the people around you. In the wild, showing weakness isn't honesty, it's an invitation. An animal that limps or lags or looks unsteady becomes the obvious target for predators and sometimes for its own herd. So the injured ones don't slow down first, they mask it, moving at the same pace, grazing at the same rhythm, doing everything a healthy animal does for as long as the body will allow it. The disguise isn't laziness, it's survival math, running in the background every second. But here's where most people misread this completely. They think hiding pain means someone's fine. It's usually the opposite. The harder someone works to look unaffected, the more there is underneath it. That's the mask you've been trusting your whole life, not because people are dishonest, because showing the crack feels exactly as dangerous to them as it does to that animal. But a disguise this good should have worked. Something always slipped through anyway. An injured animal can control its pace. It can control its expression. What it can't fully control is its position, where it naturally drifts to within the group. It falls half a step behind, again and again, without ever fully stopping. It hesitates a fraction of a second longer at a ditch or a rise in the ground. A hesitation too small to call a limp, but too consistent to be nothing. The mask holds everywhere, except the one place instinct can't fully manage: timing. That's what the best trackers actually read, not the performance, the timing underneath the performance. The half-second people can act through, but can't quite erase. But reading timing wasn't foolproof either. Sometimes the disguise wasn't hiding weakness, it was faking it. Nature has its own con artists. Certain ground-nesting birds will fake a broken wing on purpose, dragging it along the ground, drawing a predator away from a nest full of chicks that were never actually in danger from that injury. And research on real predator-prey systems complicates the simple story further. Not every predator actually targets the weakest animal. Some studies found healthy animals taken just as often, especially when a disguise worked too well, or a genuine weak spot never revealed itself in time. Reading correctly wasn't guaranteed. It was a skill, not an instinct that always fired true. That's the part people skip when they romanticize reading people. Sometimes the obvious tell is a decoy. The real skill was staying humble enough to keep checking the read, not just trusting the first signal. But eventually, no disguise holds forever. And when it breaks all at once. Eventually, the pace catches up with the pain. The animal that's been masking it for days finally falls too far behind, and the herd, the same herd it moved beside all week, simply keeps walking. And here's the part that should sting. You've watched that exact moment happen with people and called it sudden. It was never sudden. You just weren't watching the half-second hesitations that had been building for weeks because you were waiting for the obvious sign that was never going to come until it was too late to matter. The strongest trackers weren't the ones who waited for the mask to break. They were the ones who noticed the half-step behind, long before anyone else thought to look. The animal was never hiding it from the ground. It was hiding it from you. The mask was never the problem. Not watching closely enough was.